Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good. It's nice to see all of you here. And of course, I am sure there are any number of people online, as I heard from many. But the fact that you're here speaks volumes. Some of you, I know this is your first time back in quite some time. Others of you are regulars. Whether this is your first time back since COVID or you're here regularly, it's really wonderful to be in the sanctuary together with you. And of course, all of you online, it's always great to know that you are tuning in with us. This evening, our goal and desire is to begin with a level of joy and spirit and happiness and celebration, because we need lots of that in this world. And this is a Shirah service. You know what Shirah means? Shirah means singing or song. So, hopefully, where you can, you'll join in. And if you don't know the words, well, then minimally, you will sing la 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 and feel like you are participating in the service. So, most of you have not had the opportunity to meet our wonderful cantorial intern for Shomrei Torah Synagogue this year, David Childs, who spent the last number of years at that small synagogue in the city called Sinai Temple. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a little shtibel on Wilshire Boulevard and Beverly Glen. That's where he got his chops, and he is with us this evening with our incredible band and musicians, and we are delighted that you are with us this evening. So I'm going to turn it over to Cantor Childs and look forward to an evening of song and uplift as we enter in 5780.
Ay da day, ay da day, day day. Ay 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 da day, ay 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 ay. Ay da day, ay da day, day day. Ay 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 da day, ay 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 ay. Ay da day, ay da day, day day. Ay da day, ay da day, day day. Ay da day, ay da day, day day. Ay da day, ay da day, ay 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 ay. Ay da day, ay da day, day day. Da day, day day, ay da day. Ay 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 ay. Ay da day, ay da day, day day. Ay da day, ay da day, ay 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 ay. Ay da day, ay da day, ay 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 ay. Ay da day, ay da day, ay 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 ay. Ay da day, ay da day, ay 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 oh. Ay da day, ay da day, ay da day. Ay 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 da day, day day. Ay 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 ay. Ay da day, ay da day, day day, day day, ay 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 da day. Ay 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 ay. Ay da day, ay da day, day day. Adon haselichot bochen levayot kole amokot dover tzedakot chatanu lefanecha vachem aleinu chatanu lefanecha rachem aleinu. Bochen levavot gole ובשנה הבאה נשב על המרפסת ונספור ציפורים נודדות. ילדים בחופשה ישחקו תופסת בין הבית ובין החדות. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. איי 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 בשנה הבאה. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה.
Well, are you warmed up? Are you in the mood? Are you feeling the new year? Okay. Well, in that case, we are going to turn to our Mariv service. This evening service is the shortest of all of the holiday services. So if you were looking to spend a couple of hours this evening, I'm sorry to disappoint you. You will be home for dinner in no time. But tomorrow, come back, because we've got a good 4 to 5 hours lined up ready for you tomorrow morning. And certainly on Yom Kippur, if you want, you can spend all day long here. But this evening is just a taste. It's just a warm-up. It's just to get our hearts, our minds, our bodies focused and centered. In fact, that's what the Baruch Hu is all about. The Baruch Hu, as a prayer, is one that says, in vernacular, hey, this is the Chazan, the Shaliach Tzibor, hey, community, are you with me? Are we ready to join together as a Kihila Kedosha, as a holy community, to bring about a deeper awareness of God's presence in our life? And when the Chazan says that, that's Baruch Hu Adonai Barach. We say, yes, we are ready to be with you by responding, Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. And then the cantor says, fantastic. In that case, Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Let's join in together. So that is the essence, the focus of what the Baruch Hu is all about. If you open up your Machzorim, you can find on page 5, the Baruch Hu, and I'm going to invite all of you, if you are able to rise. Those of you who are at home, if you are able to rise as well and join us here at Shomrei Torah Synagogue as we as a community call in 5783 together with the Baruch Hu on page 5.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated. Let's read together as the sun is going down outside and we are aware of the change of cycles. Let's read together in the English on page 5, the middle of the page. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, ruler of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness, and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night. Adonai Tzvaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk.
אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני.
Baruch hu baruch shemo.
המריב הרבים.
Continuing on page 6.
אהבת עולם, אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, בית ישראל עמך, עמך אהבת, עמך אהבת, אהבת עולם, אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, בית ישראל עמך, עמך אהבת, עמך אהבת, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני. ברוך שמו אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Continue silently on page 7.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני
אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים.
אני אדוני
אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
אמונה.
מלכותו ברצון, קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל, לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם. כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, תורה תורה, תורה תהילות עושה פלא. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, תורה תורה, תורה תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה. זה לי, זה לי, זה לי, יאמרו. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, תורה תורה, תורה תהילות עושה פלא. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, תורה תורה, תורה תהילות עושה פלא, עושה פלא, עושה פלא. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Our prayer for peace is found on page 9. Let's read it first responsively in the English, and then Cantor Childs will pick up in the Hebrew. Page 9. Allow us, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully and to awaken again to life, our sovereign.
Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name.
Shield us, remove from us enemies and pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow, and remove the evil forces that surround us.
Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you, God, watch over and deliver us, and you are the sovereign and merciful and compassionate.
Ensure our going and our coming for life and peace now and forever.
May you spread over us
the shelter of your canopy.
peace.
Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us and over all the people Israel and over Jerusalem.
Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu
פרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני.
ברוך הוא, ברוך שמו.
הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
In a minute, we're going to stand in preparation for the Amidah, which can be found on page 11. But before we stand, I want to call your attention on page 10, at the very top of the page, to a line from the Psalms, which is taken out of the Psalms and placed here before the Amidah on Rosh Hashanah. It begins with the words at the top of page 10, Tiku b'chodesh shofar b'chaseh liyom chagenu, ki chok liyisrael hu mishpat le'Elohei Yaakov. Which means, as you can see in the English, sound the shofar on our feast day on the new moon, when it is hidden, right? Because the moon is hidden, it's the very beginning of the new month. For it is Israel's law, a decree of the God of Jacob. Now, our Hasidic rabbis were very, very careful in the way they read the Bible. And they noticed something unusual in the Hebrew in that line. It says, Tiku b'chodesh shofar. For all of you Hebrew experts out there, how would you write those three words? Tiku b'chodesh shofar. Yes, as Ofer mentioned, he said it should be Tiku shofar b'chodesh. Blow, right? Tiku, shofar, the object of the blowing, b'chodesh, in this new month. But it doesn't say that, does it? So the question we have to ask ourselves is why? Why does chodesh come first? So the Baal Shem Tov suggests, not only does chodesh mean the new month, but what else does chodesh mean? Or lechadesh, chadash, to make new. Exactly, Randy, to make new. So maybe the way we should read this is, we sound, in other words, we blow the shofar in order to remind us that we are in a moment of renewal. That there is a tendency for us to get into a certain rhythm, a rote way of being in this world, where we see things only in a certain way, where we do things in a similar manner, and we don't allow for newness to enter into our hearts and into our minds. We become stale in our relationships, in our actions, in our work, in our life. And so the Baal Shem Tov is saying don't make it a chok. What is a chok? A law. Don't make it regular. Don't make it like it's just a law. Chodesh. Do something new. Approach this year with unlimited possibilities. Allow the sounding of the shofar to break the routine of your life. Allow the sounding of the shofar to give you an opportunity to look differently at yourself, at the people in your life, at our community, at the world. Don't just assume the way you've always assumed. Don't think the way you've always thought. Don't do the way you've always done. That's the power of Rosh Hashanah. That's the power of the new year. So as you look tonight outside and see the sliver of the moon, let that be your guide to say this month, this day, this week, this year, I'm going to take a new approach, a different approach, a new opportunity. We rise, Tiku b'chodesh shofar on page 10.
תיקו בחודש שופר, בכסל יום חגנו, כי חוק לישראל הוא משפט לאלוהי יעקב. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבם, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חון וביומי חון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולם היה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשא בריחו לילה ולילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמא ויאמרו Amen.
A few minutes of silent prayer, thinking about ways in which this year you can make those changes. We begin on page 11 and conclude on page 17.
שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Page 19, Kaddish Alem.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ועל דברי קירותי והמליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יש שמי רבה מברך לעלם עולם ועלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתבר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלות ההון ובאת ההון דכל ישראל קודם והון דבישמיה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרב מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen.
I want to share with you a story. The story, I believe, although I'm not 100% certain, is an old Chinese story, a proverb maybe, a fable. I learned it from Rabbi Jason Rosenberg, and I was struck by it, so I wanted to share it with all of you this evening. It begins with a woman, an old woman, a very old woman. And this woman had built herself a house in the middle of nowhere on the top of a hill. And she had lived there for a very long time, for as long as anyone could remember. And it seemed like she had lived up there, in fact, forever. It was a strange thing building a house up on a hill. There was no one around for miles, no one to talk with, no one to be with, and no one to help. But what was really odd about the decision to live up there is that there was no running water. And I guess this was before plumbing and all of those things which make our lives so convenient. And so since water doesn't like to run uphill, there was no easy way for her to get water. So instead, she had to get it herself, by herself, every single morning. And every morning, she would follow the exact same routine. She'd walk outside and pick up a long pole. Then next to the pole, there were 2 buckets, each with a loop of rope around the top. She would take the first bucket and hang it from the left side of the pole. Then she would take the second bucket and hang it from the right side of the pole. Always the same bucket on the same side, in exactly the same way. She would rest the pole across her old but surprisingly strong shoulders. She would take that narrow, long dirt path down to the bottom to the stream, which ran all the way at the bottom of the hill. She would then take the pole off her shoulders and gently and very carefully take each bucket down from the pole. Then one at a time, she would dip each bucket into the stream, fill it with clear water. Then, just as carefully, she would place each bucket back on the pole, oh so carefully, that not an ounce of water would drip out of the bucket, she would turn, place it on her shoulders, and march back up the hill. But that right-handed bucket, you see, had a small crack in the bottom of it. And so as soon as she started walking up the hill, the bucket would start leaking. A steady, persistent drip. The bucket running slowly out of water, step by step. So that by the time she reached the top of the hill, the bucket would be completely dry. She would put the right-hand bucket back where it had started and take the left-hand bucket with her to use throughout the day. Day after day, year after year, the morning unfolded in exactly the same way. Left bucket on the pole, right bucket on the pole, walk down the path, take the buckets off, fill the buckets, put them back on the pole, walk back up the hill, drip, drip, drip. Right-hand bucket gets put back where it started. Left-hand bucket gets used every single day. The days pass. The months passed. The years passed. Nothing changed. The same routine every day. Until one morning. One morning, the woman was getting ready for her day, about to head out the front door to pick up her buckets and her pole, and then head down to the stream. When she heard a loud knock at the door, she was a bit surprised, as you can imagine. No one ever visited her. Yet, she opened the door, looked outside, and she saw nothing. No one was there. She looked around again, wondering if someone was hiding in the woods around the back of the house, but she saw no one. So she started to turn back to her house, ready to close the door, when she heard that voice call out, "Hey!" She wheeled around, stuck her head back outside the door. No one was there. "Hey, down here!" She looked down, and to her great surprise, she saw the right-handed bucket, the one with the crack in it, sitting on her front porch. She stared at it for a brief moment before saying, yes, not really knowing what to expect. It probably wasn't for a bucket to answer back. "Do you know who I am?" it asked her. "Why, yes, of course I know who you are. You're the bucket from the right side of the pole." She spoke to it as if this was completely natural, even though it really wasn't. That's right. I'm the bucket from the right side. And I'm furious." Furious? At what? At you. At me? You're furious at me? What in heaven's name for? For mocking me. "Mocking you?" she asked in stunned disbelief. "How? What? What do you mean? Every day? Every single day? You put me on that pole, carry me down to the stream, you fill me with water, just like a bucket should be filled. And then you carry me back up the hill, just like I'm supposed to do, carrying water up the hill. But you get to the top of the hill, and I'm empty. There's no water in me. Do you know what it means to me every single day, every single month, every single year? You're mocking me. I'm not a good bucket. I'm not a useful bucket. It's not a lot to ask. You won't even give me that much to repair a common decency of a few minutes, just a few minutes to fix my crack? Then I'd be fine. I'm so close to being a decent bucket, but you don't seem to care enough to help me. Back and forth, up and down the hill, day after day after day, and every time failing at the one thing I'm meant to do. Failing, drip, 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 one drip at a time. What have I done to deserve this much cruelty? The old woman, she looked at the bucket, this bucket which had been on her right side for all these years, with a look on her face which was a mix of sadness and caring. After a long moment, she began to speak. My good friend, I am so sorry. I had no idea you felt this way. You've been suffering all this time, and you have no idea at all what you do. What do you mean? No idea about what? Here, let me show you. She gently picked up the bucket and carried it over to the top of the path, which they both knew very well. Look down on the right side of the path, she said to the bucket. What do you see? Nothing. It's just the path. The same path we walk every day. That's right. That's what it is. That's all there is. Now, bucket, look at the other side. What do you see? The bucket looked and noticed that the two sides were nothing alike. Looking down from the top of the path, the right-hand side was bare, empty, dirt. But the other side was alive with color. The other side was covered with flowers, thick and lush, showing off every hue you could imagine. It was so alive and so beautiful. I planted those flowers many years ago, said the old woman. They're lovely, but they need a lot of care. And they especially need a lot of water. So when I found you, I knew I had found exactly what I needed. Every morning I fill you with water, and every morning as I walk back up this hill, you sprinkle out so carefully, so preciously, drop by drop, exactly the right amount of water to keep those flowers alive. This is what keeps them flourishing. This is what keeps them beautiful. This path is the most wonderful place in my entire world. And bucket, it is all because of you. I'm sorry. I never knew this. I am so sorry. I am sorry that you thought that you were broken, that you were a failure. You're not a failure. You are not broken. You are perfect. The bucket stood there stunned into silence, and the old woman looked at it with ancient, wise eyes and said, "What's amazing is that precisely the thing that you thought made you broken was the exact same thing which made you so powerful. What you thought was your greatest flaw was exactly what I needed to make our world a more beautiful place. The crack, which you thought made you nothing, was exactly what I needed to make our world holy." May each of you embrace your cracks, and may you know that you are exactly what this world needs to be holy. Shana Tova. We are going to rise for Kiddush and then Aleinu as we conclude our services on page 24.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בחר בנו מכל עם ורוממנו מכל לשון וקידשנו במצוותיו ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה את יום הזיכרון הזה יום תרועה מקרא קודש זכר יציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ודברך אמת וקיים לעד ברוך אתה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ מקדש ישראל ויום הזיכרון ברוך אתה אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיבלנו והגיענו בזמן הזה
standing for Aleinu on page 25.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המורם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום זה שמיים ירזל.
אוקיי, נבחנו אלוהינו. יום המלכות שלך
המלכות שלך היא עולמי תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה
seated as we turn to page 27, our psalm for the season of repentance in the Hebrew or the English, following the Mourner's Kaddish, page 27.
שבתי בבית אדוני כל ימי חיי, שבתי בבית אדוני כל ימי חיי.
לולי המן תנור
לחיות בטוב אדוני בארץ חיים. קווה אל אדוני חזק ויאמץ ליבך, וקווה אל אדוני.
Turning back to 26, those in mourning and those observing a yard site, rise at this time for Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alma divrach yurtei ve'amlich ma'achutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. V'agalau v'zman kari v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehei
Shmei
shmei
Rabbah
Rabbah
barach
barach
le'olam
le'olam
le'olam.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudeshah b'richu.
B'richu.
Le'ela le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran ve'alma v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav v'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru.
Amen.
Amen. As the one brings peace to the heavens, may God bring peace to each and every one of us as we say amen.
Amen.
Before we conclude, announcements from our president, Ofer Ho.
Shana Tova to all of you out there. My name is Ofer Ho, and I am the president of Shomrei Torah Synagogue. We are delighted that you have chosen to celebrate the holiday at STS, and we warmly welcome all of you to our home, whether in person or online. I'd like to send out a special thank you to the Sababa Band for their beautiful music this evening, Bruce Benton on drums, Aaron Kirsch on bass, Daniel McLaughlin on guitar, Kevin Longobard for guitar and vocals, and Mariana Benton for vocals. And Sammy, of course. Can't forget Sammy. Some reminders for tomorrow. Services begin tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Please remember to bring your own kippah and talit. The Family Holiday Experience and Services at De Toledo High School, which required pre-registration, begins at 9 a.m. for families with children 18 months to 5 years, and at 10 a.m. for families K to 6th grade. Our Chaverim teen service for 7th to 12th graders with the Director of Youth Engagement, Michelle Greenberg, is at 10 a.m. at Temple Aliyah. As you depart tonight, please leave your machzorim on your seats. L'shana tova tikatevu.
So we're going to conclude, and as we conclude with the music, you're welcome to get up and schmooze with one another and greet everybody. Hopefully, if there's a face that is next to you that you don't know, don't be shy about introducing yourself. If there's a person behind you that you have never seen before, welcome them. Welcome yourself. Come and say hello to me. Some of you I haven't seen in quite some time. It's nice to see you, and we look forward to celebrating. May this be a year, indeed, of newness, of opportunity, of growth, and of recognizing that the flaws that we have are there to find ways in which we can help others blossom and grow. We conclude.
שנה הבאה בשם עולם יחסים כל ציפורים נולדות ילדים בחורשה ישחקו לו כסף ברחובים השדות עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה
tova utikatevu, a sweet, a healthy, and a blessed year for all.